In the previous video, I showed you 2 Hakka ward houses in Shenzhen. I highly recommend you to visit the latter one if you're going to be in Shenzhen sometime. There is another Hakka house in Shenzhen I also highly recommend. It's a Weilong house, a very unique type of Hakka house. Weilong houses are densely distributed in Meizhou in northeast Guangdong province. But Meizhou is far away from big cities and so far can't be accessed via high-speed railway. Good news is, you don't have to go to Meizhou to see Weilong house. There are also this type of house in Shenzhen. They are more formidable than the ones I visit in Meizhou. In this video, I'll show you what my dad called China's earliest civilian surveillance system.
Hello, I'm Yan Yan. I'm in Shenzhen, in front of a Hakka Weilong house. The clan living inside migrated from Xining, Meizhou, and Xining has the highest density of Hakka Weilong house. I once visited 3 Hakka Weilong houses there and made a video on it. Today, let's visit Hakka Weilong house in Shenzhen. Let's review the structure of this type of Hakka house and see how the Weilong house in Shenzhen is different from the ones in Xining. A difference between this Hakka ward house and the ones in Xining is that there is one more yard in front, and that's common in Hakka ward houses in Shenzhen. Let's go from here. This is a typical Hakka Weilong house. The Belgian backyard, the art. The only difference is that there is a watchtower up on the way section. I visit many Hakka Weilong houses, but every time I see it, I'm still amazed by its design.
The Belgian backyard represents the belly of pregnant woman, signifying the clan would have lots of offspring. So the backyard is called Embryo. My camera never reflects the real shape of the embryo of a Weilong house. It always flattens things out. You'll have to visit one in person to see what it's really like.
The waist section of this house is like an excavation site. It's because the original waist section wasn't finished. But from the remainings, we can still figure out this was the courtyard, the central hall, the side rooms, the wing rooms. So the waist section of this house has that typical Shenzhen style with private unit and individual courtyards. From the foundation of the way section, we can see a step here and a step there. That's the gentle slope of the way section. Because Weilong House, especially the way section, is supposed to be built on the slope of the hill, and that shape is called long. That's where the name Weilong House is from.
This is what the typical Weilong house is like. It lies on the slope of the hill with the woods behind the house. But the majority of Shenzhen is in the Po River plain. How did Hakka build this type of house? The solution is to either find a small hill or create one. I don't know which solution this house adopted. The room in the center of the way section is called Dragon Hall. Since the way section of this house wasn't finished, the watchtower didn't exist. It was added when the house was restored to reflect the feature of Hakka Wood House in Shenzhen. In Weilong House in Meizhou, there are 5 stones embedded in the wall of the backyard, representing gold, wood, water, fire, and earth respectively. I looked for those in this Weilong house in Shenzhen, but didn't find anything.
Although it's a little sad that this house was not finished, it actually gives us a lot of information about how Hakka built their wood houses centuries ago. Number 1, there's no brick. They built their house, even the inner structure, with earth mixed with sand. And then they strengthened the entrance with stones.
In this cross-section of the wall, we can see wooden beams, and they have been carbonized. They've stayed here for 200 years. When we were in the backyard, someone kept an eye on us. four turrets and the watchtower in center back form the zone defense, like the strategy in basketball. Defenders could move around via the track on the roof. Presidents could also hide in the watchtower and escape from the track. At this point, I only recommend this Weilong house to you. But there are at least 2 more in Shenzhen. Bad news is, when I visit them, both of them were closed for renovation. Good news is, when you visit Shenzhen one day, they probably would be open and will be in good status to welcome you. While you're not able to go inside, I walked around the arc section of this Weilong house from my exterior. It looks just like the model of Weilong house displayed in the museum. Weilong house could have multiple arcs, but I didn't find such one in Shenzhen. You'll have to go to Meizhou to see them. It's interesting to walk between the arcs. In Meizhou, there's even a house with a 2-story arc. The second floor also has a slope. This Weilong house in Shenzhen has a special structure. It's this tall building in the southeast corner of the house. Some of you might say, isn't this just a turret? You just showed us the surveillance system. Well, it's something similar. But look, here are the traditional turrets. And this one's much taller with some Western elements. It's called Diaolou. It was added to this house in the early 20th century and was something very trendy in Shenzhen during that time. This house reflects the evolvement of Weilong house from its original style in Meizhou to Shenzhen style. This was the old photo of the house. This is what it looks like now after renovation. The house was constructed in 2 stages. The section in the center was built in the 18th century when the family just migrated to Shenzhen. Notice both the way section and the wing buildings are without individual courtyard. That's the Meizhou style. The house was expanded decades later, and the extension section has units with courtyard. The 4 turrets were built in this stage as well. That's the Shenzhen style. The Diaolou was added in the early 20th century. That has some Western style. The Diaolou buildings were once all over Shenzhen. They existed in different forms. Unfortunately, due to urbanization, most of them have been demolished. In next video, I'll show you some of the remaining Diaolou buildings in Shenzhen and will continue exploring Hakka's history and heritage in the city. I'm Yan Yan. I make videos about sites of interest in China and histories and stories behind them. Subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.